talking about there is a certain input and there is a process that is happening and there would be an output. Apart from just the process part of it or input part of it, there would be a lot of variability. हमने the way we have been defining our demand, we have been saying, demand, average demand is this with a standard deviation of this, which is nothing but variability. When we are defining the input is not just an average, it is also having a variability factor. So, for example, the input in supply chains could be, demand, average demand, and variability in demand. We have always been defining, demand as 10,000 units with a variability of or standard deviation of 3,000 units, something like that. Similarly, if we talk about transportation lead times, there have been lead times, average lead times, and there might be delays and there might be a standard deviation. And we have dealt with a lot of these in terms of solving our logistics problems or inventory problems and things like that. Similarly, quality issues, there would be an average and there would be a variation, vendor dispatches. So these are some of the examples of variability in your inputs. Similarly, within the process, also there could be variability in the process. For example, operator speed or variety of items. Operator speed, pre-launch, post-launch could be different. The failure rates might be different. When you are setting up your production, there is a setup time and a setup cost and things like that. Those could vary. Similarly, quality related issues, they might be vary. They might be varying. So there is an input, there is a process, but we also need to understand that there might be a variability within the input and might be a variability within the process as well. Variances are part and parcel of our lives. So input में भी हमारे पास average होगा, variability होगा, process में भी average होगा, variability होगा. And we have very well defined, how do we capture variability or how do we measure variability. So हमने हमेशा एक टर्म यूज किया कोफिशिएंट ऑफ वेरिएशन सीवी, विच इज नथिंग बट स्टैंडर्ड डिविएशन ओवर मीन, कि मीन से कितना ज्यादा वो डिस्पर्स हो रहा है, राइट. सो दीज आर मेजर्स ऑफ सेंट्रल टेंडेंसी. सो अगर हम एक नॉर्मल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन कर्व लेते हैं और उसका मीन इज एट द सेंटर, सो वी ऑलवेज काइंड ऑफ मेजर व्हाट इज द स्टैंडर्ड डिविएशन फ्रॉम दैट मीन, कितना वेरिएंस हो रहा है. And that is measured by coefficient of variation, which is nothing but standard deviation over mean. So here we define if standard deviation is less than 0.75, you can treat it as a low variability process or a low variability input. If it is moderate, it is between 0.75 to 1.33, and if CV is greater than 1.33, typically we say it's a high variability process. The point here is the key input or the key takeaway from this slide is that there is an input which undergoes a certain process, and both the input and the processes might have variances. And in practical world, they will have variances. So how do we, in that case, how do we adjust the measurements and things like that? And the measurement of that variability is measured by coefficient of variation.